Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Orbital Defense Station New Horizon, his coffee growing cold in his hands. The morning had started like any other until the sensors picked up something impossible. Massive shapes were appearing in space above Earth, bigger than anything humanity had ever built. "Sir, we're getting readings on 47 objects," reported Lieutenant Commander Beth Taylor, her voice tight with concern. "They're huge. Each one is at least 5 kilometers long." Jake set down his coffee and moved to the main display. The alien ships hung in space like dark mountains, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metal that seemed to shift colors in the starlight. They had appeared without warning, no engine signatures, no heat trails. One moment empty space, the next moment an entire fleet. "Any response to our hails?" Jake asked. "Nothing yet, sir. Wait." Beth pressed her earpiece closer. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. It's coming through now." The main screen flickered, then filled with the image of something that made Jake's blood run cold. The creature was reptilian, with scales that looked like polished armor and eyes like burning coals. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rumbling like distant thunder. "People of Earth," the alien said, "I am High Commander Zexthal of the Vorthak Empire, speaking for the Hegemony Council. Your species has been observed and judged. We have watched your wars, your violence, your expansion into space. You are a threat that must be contained." Jake felt his stomach drop. First contact, and it wasn't going well. "The Hegemony Council represents 47 advanced civilizations," Zexthal continued. "We have maintained peace in this galaxy for over 1,000 years by ensuring that dangerous species like yours are properly supervised. You will surrender immediately." The alien leaned forward, its massive form filling the screen. "Dismantle all military forces. Surrender all weapons technology. Accept supervision by your betters. You have 72 hours to comply or your world will be cleansed of your presence." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Jake grabbed the communication panel. "Get me President Walsh, emergency priority." Within minutes, Jake was connected to the White House Situation Room. President Kevin Walsh appeared on screen, his face pale but determined. Around him sat the world's top military leaders and scientists. "Admiral Morrison," the president said, "what's your assessment?" "Sir, their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Those ships could probably glass our entire planet without breaking a sweat, but—" Jake paused, thinking about classified files he'd read. There might be another option. Captain Lisa Rodriguez, Earth's chief military strategist, leaned forward from her seat in the Situation Room. "Admiral, are you talking about Project Black Dawn?" Jake nodded grimly. "I think it's time, ma'am." The president looked confused. "What's Project Black Dawn?" Dr. Maya Singh, a woman Jake had only met twice but whose reputation preceded her, stood up. "Mr. President, 30 years ago, a small alien scout ship crashed in the Nevada desert. We've been reverse engineering its technology ever since." The room fell silent. Even Jake, who had security clearance for most things, felt his jaw drop. "We built a fleet," Dr. Singh continued. 50 ships using what we learned from that crashed vessel. We call it the Black Armada. Every ship is painted with light-absorbing material and equipped with stealth technology the aliens have never seen. We've been preparing for this day." President Walsh stared at her. "You built an entire fleet in secret?" "Yes, sir. Hidden on the dark side of the moon. We always knew that if we ever met aliens, they might not be friendly. The Black Armada was our insurance policy." Captain Danny Williams, who had been quietly listening from the lunar base, spoke up on the communication link. "Mr. President, the ships are ready. My crews have been training for 20 years. We know every bolt, every system, every weapon on these ships." The president looked around the room. "What are our chances?" "Unknown, sir," Captain Rodriguez replied honestly. "But I can tell you this. Those aliens are expecting us to roll over and surrender. They've probably never faced an enemy that fought back with their own technology. Over the next 60 hours, the world watched as humanity prepared for the impossible. The alien ships hung in space like a sword over Earth's head, occasionally destroying satellites or space stations that got too close, demonstrating their power. Jake coordinated with military leaders around the world. General Sam Miller mobilized ground forces. Colonel Nina Carter prepared strike-wing tactics. Commander Alex Thompson worked with the orbital defense platforms, even though everyone knew they wouldn't last long against alien weapons. But the real preparation happened in secret, on the dark side of the moon. Captain Williams and his crews ran final checks on ships that looked nothing like human designs. They were sleek and deadly, with quantum disruption weapons that could tear through alien shields and engines that could outmaneuver anything in the hegemony fleet. As the deadline approached, the world held its breath. The alien commander broadcast again, his voice full of confidence. "Your time is up, humans. We detect no signs of surrender. You force us to demonstrate why resistance is futile." The first alien ships moved into attack position above Earth's major cities, energy weapons charged with power that made the air itself glow. President Walsh appeared on every screen on Earth. His voice was calm, steady, and absolutely certain. "People of Earth, and you aliens listening to this broadcast," he said, "you came to our world and told us to kneel. You threatened our families, our children, our future. You assumed that because your ships are bigger and your weapons more powerful, we would simply give up everything we've fought to build." The president stood up, his eyes blazing with determination. "You don't understand humans very well. We don't kneel to bullies. We don't surrender to tyrants. And we sure as hell don't give up without a fight." He looked directly into the camera. "Earth does not kneel." High Commander Zexthal laughed when the transmission ended. "Foolish creatures. Begin the bombardment." But on the dark side of the moon, Captain Williams was already giving orders to his fleet. "All ships, this is Vengeance Lead. Time to show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity. Black Armada, launch for Earth." 50 ships invisible to alien sensors began moving through space toward the enemy fleet. Humanity's secret was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. High Commander Zexthal watched from his flagship as the first energy blasts struck Earth's orbital defense platforms. The human installations exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their primitive shields collapsing instantly against hegemony weapons. "As expected," Zexthal said to his bridge crew, "their technology is laughably inferior. Continue the bombardment. Target their military installations first, then their population centers." The hegemony fleet spread out in a standard formation, each massive ship taking position over a different continent. Their weapons charged again, preparing to turn Earth's surface into molten glass. Zexthal felt the familiar satisfaction of another easy conquest. "Sir," called out his sensor officer, "I'm detecting some unusual readings from the far side of their moon." "Probably more primitive satellites," Zexthal replied without interest. "Ignore them. Focus on the planet." But Captain Danny Williams was counting on that assumption. Hidden in the shadow of the moon, the UES Vengeance led 49 other ships of the Black Armada toward Earth. The ships moved like ghosts through space, their black hulls absorbing light and their advanced stealth systems making them nearly invisible. "All ships, maintain silent running," Williams whispered into his communications system. "We get one chance at this. Make it count." The human ships were nothing like the massive alien vessels, where the hegemony ships were huge and bulky, built to intimidate and overwhelm. The Black Armada ships were sleek and deadly, designed for speed and precision. Each ship carried quantum disruption weapons reverse-engineered from the crashed alien scout, along with improvements that human engineers had developed over 3 decades. Lieutenant Ben Hughes piloted the UES Shadow Dancer, watching his sensors as they approached the enemy fleet. "Captain Williams, I'm reading energy signatures from all 47 alien ships. They're focused on the planet." "I don't think they know we're here." "Perfect," Williams replied. "Colonel Carter, are your strike wings ready?" Colonel Nina Carter commanded the first attack formation from her ship, the UES Night Strike. "Ready, sir. My pilots have been dreaming of this moment for 20 years. All ships," Williams broadcast to the fleet, "remember your training. Hit fast, hit hard, and don't give them time to react." "For Earth! For Earth!" came the response from 50 ships. The Black Armada struck like lightning from the darkness. The human ships appeared on alien sensors for just a moment before their weapons fired. Quantum disruption beams tore through alien shields as if they didn't exist, cutting into hulls that the aliens thought were invincible. The hegemony ship Dominator exploded first, its massive frame breaking apart as human weapons overloaded its power systems. Then the Conqueror, then the Iron Fist. In the first 30 seconds of the attack, 6 alien ships were destroyed. Zexthal stared at his displays in shock. "What is happening? Where did these ships come from?" "Unknown vessels attacking from multiple vectors," his tactical officer reported, panic creeping into his voice. "Their weapons are penetrating our shields." "How is this possible?" "All ships return fire," Zexthal roared. "Target those human vessels." But the Black Armada was already moving. The human ships scattered like a school of fish, their superior speed and maneuverability making them nearly impossible to target. The massive alien weapons designed to bombard planets were too slow to track the quick human ships. Captain Tony Garcia in the UES Night Stalker led his squadron through the alien formation, his weapons cutting through enemy hulls with surgical precision. This is Garcia to all ships. Their shields are useless against our quantum weapons. Target their power cores and watch them light up like fireworks. The battle turned into a deadly dance. Human ships darted between the massive alien vessels, striking and moving before the enemy could respond. Every time the aliens tried to target a human ship, it was already gone, appearing somewhere else to strike again. Lieutenant Commander Joe Parker commanded the UES Phantom, using his ship's superior sensors to identify weak points in alien hulls. Williams, I'm seeing structural vulnerabilities near their engine sections. If we hit them there, we can cripple their maneuvering. Do it, Williams replied, his own ship diving toward the alien flagship. Dr. Rachel White monitored the battle from Earth's command center, analyzing data from the engagement. General Miller, our weapons are working better than we hoped. The aliens built their shields to stop energy weapons like their own. But our quantum disruption technology works on completely different principles. General Sam Miller watched the tactical display with amazement. How many ships have we lost? Only one so far, sir. The UES Stormrider took a direct hit, saving a damaged friendly. But we've destroyed 18 enemy vessels. The tide of battle was clearly turning, but Zexthal wasn't ready to admit defeat. All ships focus fire on their largest vessel. Bring down their flagship. The alien ships turned their massive weapons toward the UES Vengeance. William saw the energy building up in their weapon arrays and smiled grimly. All ships execute pattern Delta 7. Time to show them why Earth doesn't surrender. The Black Armada ships moved in perfect coordination, a pattern they had practiced countless times in simulation. As the alien weapons fired at where the Vengeance had been, the human ship was already moving. The other ships of the fleet converged on the aliens from 6 different directions, their weapons striking in a precisely timed sequence. The alien ship destroyer vanished in a ball of fire. Then the Supremacy. Then the World Breaker. Major Helen Brooks, monitoring communications from her ship, intercepted alien transmissions. Captain Williams, I'm picking up their chatter. They're panicking. They've never seen anything like our tactics. Good, Williams replied. Fear makes them sloppy. Press the attack. The battle raged for 3 hours. When it ended, 31 alien ships were destroyed and the rest were retreating toward the edge of the solar system. The Black Armada had lost only 3 ships, and those crews had died heroes, taking enemy vessels with them. Zexthal's flagship, the Eternal Dominion, limped away from Earth with massive damage. The alien commander stared at the tactical display, trying to understand what had happened. His superior fleet had been devastated by ships that shouldn't exist, using technology that defied everything he knew about human capabilities. Get me a communication link to the Hegemony Council, he ordered. They need to know immediately. Sir, his communications officer replied nervously. What should we tell them? Zexthal looked at the retreating human ships, still tracking his fleet as they withdrew. The humans weren't pursuing, but their message was clear. Earth was defended, and humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Tell them, Zexthal said slowly, that we have greatly underestimated this species. They did not surrender as predicted. They were prepared for us. And their technology. He paused, watching another alien ship explode from delayed damage. Their technology is not primitive at all. As the alien fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Captain Williams opened a channel to Earth. This is the Black Armada to Earth Command. The enemy fleet has been engaged and defeated. Repeat, the alien invasion has been repelled. The cheers from Earth could be heard across every communication channel, but Williams knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would be back, and next time they would be ready for humanity's tricks. But humanity would be ready too, and now the galaxy knew that Earth didn't kneel to anyone. The Hegemony Council chamber fell silent as High Commander Zexthal finished his report. The massive hall, carved from living crystal on the Council homeworld, had witnessed the submission of hundreds of species over the centuries. Never had they heard news like this. Fleet Admiral Korath of the Kextai rose from his seat, his insectoid features showing barely controlled rage. You expect us to believe that a primitive species defeated the Ninth Fleet with 50 small ships? I have the tactical recordings, Zexthal replied, his reptilian voice steady despite the humiliation. Their technology is not primitive. They have been preparing for contact for decades. The council speaker, an ancient being whose species had founded the hegemony, studied the data with glowing eyes. These humans used our own weapons against us. How is this possible? Unknown, Zexthal admitted. But their ships appeared to use quantum disruption technology. Their tactics were unlike anything in our databases. Fleet Admiral Korath slammed his clawed hand on the table. I have conquered 17 worlds. No species has ever successfully resisted the hegemony. I will take the Third Fleet and finish what you started. Be careful, Zexthal warned. These humans fight with a ferocity I have never encountered. They do not fear death as other species do. While the Hegemony Council planned their next move, humanity was far from idle. Captain Tony Garcia stood in the briefing room of the lunar base, studying holographic displays of the captured alien technology. The quantum disruption weapons worked perfectly, he reported to the assembled officers. But we got lucky. They weren't expecting our tactics. Dr. Maya Singh nodded from her position at the analysis station. I've been examining the wreckage from their ships. Their technology is impressive, but it's built for fighting enemies who use similar weapons and tactics. They've never faced asymmetric warfare. Admiral Jake Morrison joined the meeting by video link from Earth. What's our next move? We hurt them, but they'll be back with reinforcements. Captain Danny Williams leaned forward. We need intelligence. We need to know how big their fleet is, where their bases are, and what they're planning next. I have an idea about that, Captain Garcia said. The aliens set up a forward command post on Ganymede before the battle. It's probably still operational. If we could capture it, Colonel Nina Carter studied the tactical display. It would be a suicide mission. Ganymede is deep in their territory now. Maybe, Garcia replied with a grin, but we've got stealth technology they can't detect, and we know something they don't. What's that? Williams asked. They think we're still primitive. They're not expecting us to take the fight to them. The mission to Ganymede launched 3 days later. Garcia commanded the UES Night Stalker, leading a small strike force of 5 ships through the outer solar system. Major Helen Brooks commanded the Marine assault teams, specially trained for boarding operations. The alien command post was a massive structure built into Ganymede's ice, protected by energy shields and automated defense systems. But the aliens were overconfident, and their sensors couldn't detect the approaching human ships. Remember, Garcia told his team, we need prisoners and data. This isn't about destroying the base. We need to learn everything we can about their plans. The assault was swift and brutal. Human ships appeared out of nowhere, their weapons disabling the base's defenses before the aliens could react. Marine teams in powered armor cut through the facility's hull, fighting their way through corridors designed for species much larger than humans. The aliens inside were caught completely off guard. They had never expected humans to attack so far from Earth, and their defensive plans assumed an enemy would announce their presence before attacking. The humans gave them no such courtesy. Major Brooks led her team to the command center, where they found alien officers frantically trying to destroy their computers. Surrender or die, she announced through her suit's translation system. The alien commander, a tall insectoid creature, raised his hands in surrender. You cannot be here. This is impossible. Get used to impossible, Brooks replied. It's what humans do best. The captured data was a treasure trove of information. Dr. Singh and her team worked around the clock to decode the alien files, learning details about hegemony fleet movements, base locations, and strategic plans. This is incredible, Dr. Singh reported to the War Council. The hegemony controls 47 species, but they do it through fear and superior technology. They've never faced sustained resistance. President Walsh reviewed the intelligence reports. What about their reinforcements? Fleet Admiral Korath is bringing 120 ships, Admiral Morrison replied. The largest fleet they've ever assembled for a single world. They're not taking any chances this time. Commander Lisa Yang, one of the Black Armada's most experienced pilots, studied the fleet composition data. Their ships are bigger and more heavily armed than the first wave, but they're also slower and less maneuverable. Engineer Pete Johnson, who had been working on modifications to the human ships, had encouraging news. We've been analyzing their weapons data. I think we can upgrade our shields to better handle their energy weapons. But the most important discovery came from interrogating the alien prisoners. Under questioning, they revealed something that changed everything. The hegemony has ruled for 1,000 years, the alien commander told his interrogators. But there are species who resist in secret. The Threnodi were enslaved 50 years ago, but they maintain hidden cells. The Varkai lost their homeworld, but still fight from the shadows. Captain Williams looked at the intelligence summary with growing excitement. You're saying there's already a resistance movement? Several of them, Dr. Singh confirmed. Species that have been conquered but never fully broken. They're waiting for someone to show them that the hegemony can be defeated. Admiral Morrison saw the implications immediately. If we can make contact with these resistance groups, we could turn this from a war between humanity and the hegemony into a galaxy-wide rebellion. Williams finished. The plan that emerged was audacious even by human standards. Using the intelligence gathered from Ganymede, human ships would make contact with resistance cells throughout hegemony space. They would share technology, tactics, and most importantly, hope. Captain Frank Davis volunteered to lead the diplomatic mission. His ship, the UES Freedom's Call, was equipped with translation equipment and samples of human technology that could be adapted by other species. It's a long shot, Davis admitted. We're talking about traveling across hostile space to meet with people who might not trust us. But if it works, President Walsh replied, we won't be fighting alone anymore. As Davis and his crew prepared for their dangerous mission, the rest of humanity prepared for the coming battle. Fleet Admiral Korath's massive fleet was already en route, and this time the aliens would be ready for human tactics. But humanity had learned something important from the first battle and the Ganymede raid. They weren't just fighting for Earth anymore. They were fighting for every species that had ever been forced to kneel before the hegemony's power. Captain Williams stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, watching his crew prepare for the battle ahead. They had started this war defending their home. Now they had a chance to free an entire galaxy. All ships, he broadcast to the Black Armada, new orders from Earth Command. We're not just defending anymore. We're going on the offensive. Time to show the galaxy what freedom looks like. The response from 50 ships was immediate and unanimous. For Earth and for freedom, the hunt was about to begin, and this time humanity was the predator. Captain Frank Davis guided his ship through the asteroid field at the edge of hegemony space, following coordinates provided by the captured alien intelligence. The UES Freedom's Call moved silently between the floating rocks, its sensors searching for any sign of the resistance cell they hoped to contact. Captain, called out Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the sensor station, I'm detecting artificial structures embedded in asteroid 774. The signatures match what we're looking for. Davis nodded. Take us in slowly. Remember, these people have been hiding from the hegemony for 50 years. They're not going to trust strangers easily. The Threnodi base was carved into the heart of a massive asteroid, hidden so well that even hegemony sensors would miss it unless they knew exactly where to look. As the human ship approached, crystalline beings emerged from hidden positions, their weapons trained on the unexpected visitors. The first contact was tense. The Threnodi had never seen ships like the Freedom's Call, and they assumed it was some new hegemony design. It took careful negotiation and the sharing of tactical data from the recent battle to convince them that humans were genuine allies. Elder Christhak, the leader of the Threnodi resistance, studied the human technology with amazement. Your people defeated a hegemony fleet? This is impossible. No one has ever... We did more than defeat them, Davis replied. We sent them running. And we're here because we know you've been fighting them too. The alliance that formed in that hidden asteroid base changed everything. The Threnodi had been conducting sabotage operations against hegemony supply lines for decades, but they lacked the firepower to do serious damage. Human weapons technology, combined with Threnodi knowledge of hegemony operations, created possibilities neither side had imagined alone. Within days, word spread through underground networks across the galaxy. The humans had not only survived hegemony contact, but had defeated them in open battle. Species that had been conquered generations ago began to hope for the first time in decades. But Fleet Admiral Korath was already moving to crush that hope. His massive fleet of 120 ships approached Earth's solar system like a dark storm. their hulls bristling with weapons designed to overwhelm any defense. "This time will be different," Korath declared to his commanders. The humans surprised Zexthal because he underestimated them. "I will not make that mistake. We will use overwhelming force and destroy every human ship before they can employ their tricks." Admiral Morrison watched the approaching fleet from Earth's command center, his face grim. The enemy had learned from their first defeat and brought enough firepower to glass the entire solar system. "They're not spreading out this time," reported Colonel Carter. "They're staying in tight formation, overlapping their shields and sensor coverage." Captain Williams studied the tactical display from the bridge of the Vengeance. "Smart. They're not giving us targets of opportunity like last time." Dr. Rachel White had spent weeks analyzing the intelligence from Ganymede, looking for weaknesses in hegemony technology. "I've found something," she announced to the War Council. "Their ships use centralized command and control systems. If we can disrupt their communications, they'll lose coordination," Williams finished. "Their tight formation becomes a weakness." The plan that emerged was typically human in its audacity. Instead of waiting for the aliens to attack, the Black Armada would strike first, targeting not the ships themselves, but the communication arrays that linked the fleet together. Engineer Pete Johnson had been working around the clock to prepare new weapons based on captured alien technology. The quantum disruption bombs should overload their communication systems without destroying the ships. It'll create chaos in their formation. Captain Tony Garcia volunteered to lead the most dangerous part of the mission. "My team will penetrate their formation and deploy the bombs. Once their communications are down, the rest of the fleet can hit them from multiple directions." The Battle of the Asteroid Belt began before dawn on a Tuesday that would be remembered for centuries. Garcia's strike force, consisting of the fastest ships in the Black Armada, raced toward the enemy fleet at maximum speed. The aliens detected them coming and opened fire with enough energy to destroy a small moon. But the human ships weren't where the weapons were aimed. They moved like dancers through the deadly light show, their pilots pushing their ships to the absolute limits of performance. Lieutenant Commander Joe Parker piloted the UES Storm Chaser through a gap between two alien dreadnoughts, his ship's hull plates glowing from near misses. "Deploying quantum bomb number 3, he reported calmly, as if he wasn't flying through the most intense weapons fire in galactic history. Commander Beth Taylor led her squadron in a parallel attack, her ships weaving between the massive alien vessels while deploying their disruption devices. "This is Taylor to all units. Bombs deployed. Get clear." The quantum bombs detonated simultaneously, sending waves of disruption through the alien fleet's communication networks. Suddenly, ships that had been moving in perfect coordination were flying blind, unable to communicate with their commanders or coordinate their attacks. "Now," Williams ordered. "All ships attack pattern Omega. Hit them while they're confused." The Black Armada struck from 6 different directions at once. Human ships that had been hidden throughout the asteroid belt emerged from their concealment, catching the aliens in a devastating crossfire. Captain Lisa Rodriguez commanded the second wave attack, her ships targeting the alien command vessels while their crews struggled to restore communications. "Focus fire on their flagship. Take down Korath." The battle raged for 18 hours, the longest space engagement in recorded history. Human ships darted through fields of debris from destroyed alien vessels, their quantum weapons tearing through enemy hulls with devastating efficiency. But the aliens had learned from their previous defeat. When their communications were restored, they began using new tactics, spreading their ships out to avoid concentrated attacks and using their superior numbers to try to overwhelm human defenses. Lieutenant Ben Hughes found himself surrounded by 3 alien ships, his engines damaged and his weapons nearly depleted. "This is Hughes to any friendly ships. Could use some help here." Major Helen Brooks, commanding a squadron of Marine assault ships, responded immediately. "On our way, Hughes. Hold tight." Her ships arrived just in time, their boarding pods latching onto the alien vessels while her Marines fought their way through enemy corridors. Within minutes, all 3 alien ships were under human control. The tide of battle turned when Captain Garcia led a desperate assault directly at Korath's flagship. The massive alien dreadnought, the Dominion's Wrath, was the most heavily defended ship in the fleet, surrounded by layers of escorts and automated defense systems. "This is suicide," Garcia's weapons officer warned. "Probably," Garcia agreed. "But if we take down their admiral, the rest of the fleet will fall apart." The attack was a masterpiece of human tactical innovation. Garcia's ship used asteroid debris as cover, approaching the flagship through a field of floating rocks that confused alien sensors. When he was close enough, he fired every weapon his ship carried directly into the dreadnought's command section. The Dominion's wrath exploded in a fireball visible from Earth. Fleet Admiral Korath, the conqueror of 17 worlds, died before he could even understand what had happened. With their admiral dead and their fleet scattered, the remaining alien ships began to retreat. But Dr. White had one more surprise for them. Human ships throughout the battle zone activated hidden transponders, broadcasting a message on all frequencies. "This is Admiral Morrison of Earth Defense Command," the message said. "To all hegemony forces, your fleet has been defeated. Your admiral is dead. Return to your masters and tell them that Earth remembers those who tried to make us kneel." But the message wasn't just for the retreating aliens. It was also broadcast on frequencies used by resistance cells throughout the galaxy, along with tactical data from the battle and coordinates for making contact with human forces. Within hours, species across the galaxy were rising in rebellion. The Threnody attacked hegemony supply depots. The Varkai emerged from hiding to strike at isolated alien garrisons. A dozen other enslaved peoples began fighting back, inspired by humanity's example and armed with captured weapons and shared intelligence. Captain Williams watched the tactical displays as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. "It's working," he said with amazement. "The whole galaxy is rising up." Admiral Morrison nodded from Earth. "What started as a defense of our world has become a war of liberation. The hegemony is learning what happens when you try to crush the human spirit." But even as celebration spread across the solar system, Williams knew the war was far from over. The hegemony still controlled most of the galaxy, and they would not accept rebellion lying down. "All ships," he broadcast to the Black Armada, "prepare for departure. We're taking this fight to their home worlds. Time to finish what they started." The hunt had become a liberation, and humanity was leading the charge toward a free galaxy. The Hegemony Council chamber erupted in chaos as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were rising in open rebellion. Supply lines were cut. Garrison worlds were under attack. The 1,000-year rule of the hegemony was crumbling before their eyes. High Executor Valken, supreme leader of the council, stood before the massive display showing the galaxy-wide uprising. His ancient species had founded the hegemony, based on the principle that superior technology and overwhelming force could maintain order indefinitely. The humans had proven that principle wrong. "How many worlds have declared independence?" Falcon asked his intelligence coordinator, 17 and counting High Executor. "The rebellion is spreading faster than our forces can respond. And the humans—" The coordinator paused, afraid to deliver more bad news. "What about the humans?" "They're not staying in their home system, sir. Their ships have been detected in 12 different sectors, providing weapons and tactical support to rebel forces." Valkon's crystalline features hardened with determination. "Then we will end this at the source. Prepare the planet killers. If we cannot rule the humans, we will destroy them and make an example that will end this rebellion forever." Captain Danny Williams stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, surrounded by the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. The Black Armada had grown from 50 ships to over 200, joined by vessels from liberated worlds and alien species who had thrown off hegemony rule. Elder Christhak of the Threnody commanded a squadron of crystal ships that could phase through solid matter. Commander Vextar of the Varkai led wolf-like fighters with devastating hit-and-run capabilities. Captain Sarah Chen commanded the newest human vessels, built using technology shared by a dozen different species. "Intelligence reports that the hegemony is gathering their remaining fleets around their core worlds," Williams announced to the combined fleet. "They're planning something big." Dr. Maya Singh, now serving as the chief scientist for the Galactic Freedom Alliance, had disturbing news. "We've intercepted communications about planet-killer weapons, devices that can destroy entire worlds from orbit." President Walsh, appearing on the communication screen from Earth, looked grim. "Are they planning to use them against us?" "Almost certainly," Dr. Singh replied. "But that means they have to gather their ships in one place to deploy them. It's an opportunity." Admiral Morrison, coordinating the defense of Earth, understood immediately. "We hit them before they can deploy the planet killers. Strike at their homeworlds while their fleets are concentrated. The plan that emerged was the most ambitious operation in galactic history. The combined fleet would split into 3 forces, attacking the hegemony's 3 most important worlds simultaneously. The goal wasn't just military victory, but the complete destruction of the hegemony's ability to maintain control over other species. Captain Williams would lead the attack on the Vorthak homeworld, where High Commander Zexthal was making his final stand. Captain Tony Garcia would strike at the Kextai military headquarters. Captain Frank Davis would assault the Council homeworld itself, targeting High Executor Valken. The journey took 3 weeks, moving through space controlled by increasingly desperate hegemony forces. But the rebellion had spread so widely that enemy ships were constantly being diverted to deal with uprisings, leaving gaps in their defenses that the Freedom Fleet could exploit. Colonel Nina Carter led scouting missions ahead of the main fleet, gathering intelligence on hegemony defenses. Their home system is heavily fortified, she reported. Automated defense platforms, minefields, and at least 60 ships. What about their planet killer? Williams asked, still under construction in orbital shipyards. If we can reach it before they finish. Lieutenant Ben Hughes, now commanding his own ship in the fleet, had an idea. What if we don't try to fight through their defenses? What if we go around them? Dr. Rachel White, working with scientists from 6 different species, had been analyzing hegemony technology. The quantum disruption drives we've developed might be able to create a temporary wormhole. We could bypass their defenses entirely. The technology was untested and dangerous. Creating an artificial wormhole required more power than any ship had ever generated, and there was no guarantee that ships entering it would emerge intact. But it was the only way to reach the hegemony homeworlds before the planet killers were completed. I'll take the first ship through, Williams volunteered. If the wormhole is stable, the rest of the fleet follows. Captain Garcia disagreed. We all go together or none of us go. That's what humanity is about. The artificial wormhole opened like a tear in space itself, crackling with energy that made nearby stars dim. One by one, 200 ships from a dozen different species plunged into the unknown, trusting human technology and alien courage to carry them to their destination. They emerged in the heart of hegemony space, catching the enemy completely off guard. The Vorthak homeworld hung before them, defended by ships that had never expected to face attack in their own system. All ships, Williams broadcast, remember what we're fighting for. Every species that's been enslaved. Every world that's been conquered. Every person who's been forced to kneel. Today we end the hegemony forever. The battle was brutal and decisive. Human ships, supported by their alien allies, tore through hegemony defenses that had protected the core worlds for 1,000 years. Captain Lisa Rodriguez led marine assault teams that captured the planet killer construction facility, preventing its completion. On the surface of the Vorthak homeworld, Major Helen Brooks led the ground assault that captured the planetary command center, the site of humans fighting alongside crystal beings, wolf-like aliens, and a dozen other species sent shockwaves through the hegemony military. High Commander Zexthal made his final stand in the orbital fortress above his homeworld. As human ships closed in around him, he opened a communication channel to Williams. You have won, the alien commander admitted, but do you understand what you have done? The hegemony maintained order in this galaxy for 1,000 years. Without us, there will be chaos. Williams looked at the diverse fleet surrounding him, species that had been enemies working together toward a common goal. You're right about one thing. There will be chaos. The chaos of freedom. The chaos of species making their own choices instead of following your orders. The final battle ended when Captain Garcia successfully destroyed the Kextai military command, while Captain Davis captured High Executor Valken himself. The supreme leader of the hegemony, the being who had ordered Earth to kneel, was now a prisoner of the species he had tried to destroy. 6 months later, Admiral Morrison stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt UES Vengeance, watching as representatives from 47 different species signed the Galactic Freedom Charter. The document established the principles that would govern the new galaxy. No species had the right to rule over another. All worlds had the right to self-determination, and freedom was a right that belonged to every sentient being. Dr. Singh presented her final report on hegemony technology to the new Galactic Council. We've dismantled their planet killers and redistributed their advanced technology to all member species. No single civilization will ever again have the power to dominate the galaxy. President Walsh addressed the assembly, his words broadcast to billions of beings across thousands of worlds. The hegemony told us to kneel, and we refused. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone who had been forced to bow before tyranny. Today we stand together as equals in a galaxy where freedom has replaced fear. Captain Williams walked through the corridors of the space station that had once been a hegemony fortress, now converted into the headquarters of the Galactic Freedom Alliance. The walls were decorated with symbols from dozens of different cultures, a reminder that diversity was strength, not weakness. He paused at a memorial wall listing the names of everyone who had died in the war for galactic freedom. Humans, Threnodi, Varkai, and members of species whose names had been forgotten under hegemony rule. They had all paid the price for liberty. Lieutenant Commander Joe Parker joined him at the memorial. "Think it was worth it, sir?" Williams looked out through the viewport at ships from across the galaxy patrolling together, former enemies now working side by side to protect the freedom they had all fought to achieve. "Ask me in 100 years, Williams replied. "But I think those who died would say yes. They didn't die just for Earth. They died so that no world would ever again be forced to kneel." The Black Armada still existed, but its mission had changed. Instead of defending Earth from alien invasion, it now protected the principles of freedom throughout the galaxy. Human ships patrolled alongside alien vessels, ready to respond whenever tyranny threatened to rise again. Elder Christhak visited Earth for the first anniversary of the hegemony's defeat, marveling at the blue world that had started the greatest liberation in galactic history. "Your species is remarkable," he told Admiral Morrison. "You could have used your victory to build your own empire. Instead, you chose to free others." Morrison smiled, looking up at the stars where Earth's children now flew among friends instead of enemies. "That's what makes us human. We don't kneel to tyrants, and we don't make others kneel to us. The galaxy was